Alright, let's get started here. There's a lot of pros and cons that we're going to need to review. Also regarding my pending update regarding TACT's recent delve into inactivity, and so there's a lot that I'm going to need to go into and that I'm going to review with all of Terrain Adaptive Combat Terrestrials while we are here. So let's not waste time. Let's get started on what we need to do here. Okay, so first of all, I want to give my acknowledgement in the huge accolade and accomplishment that had come under our belts in having reached the Final Four for the very first time in TACT's career and in TACT's existence. For us to have reached the Final Four in the annual CBL League tournament. And for that, TACT, I'm very proud of you all for all of your efforts and potential, if not known, sacrifices in order to see to it that we can reach those standings, as hard as we tried. And this entire year has been nothing but an eternal struggle in trying to generally do well as a group, if not listen and trust each other, and just generally work as a team. And in some sense it has worked, and it has faltered or failed in some cases, as people may or may not develop or get out of the whole lone wolf mindset. But it was something about what we've been trying to do all through this year, if not the latter half of this year, 2017, in having seen to this inevitability or potential oversight that may have almost happened in us reaching the Final Four. And I'm thankful for the blessing in having seen something that I was a part of creating get this far. That way you guys can see and feel that feeling and know and love that feeling of success. And it came to us out of pure luck, but luck in some sense I can appreciate in this. LSC, KOA, and GEF and ACW were all clans that could have easily seized that spot from us. But life had different things in mind for us, and somehow, some way, that opportunity that had passed us over 4 or 5 times, in a sense, depending upon your perspective, was able to advantageously fall into our favor to allow us to see a chance at history, despite how brief it may have been. But I take time out of this address to come back here and personally address this to all of Terrain Adaptive Combat Terrestrials, because the effort and love that you proved in hanging in there was more than repetition for a mass amount of appreciation and acknowledgement and understanding that came into using and making the most of what we had left to work with that could make any type of effect or impact that could be beneficial in TACT's favor. The fact that TACT was able to get this far and was able to hold our own in some sense in the CBL clan battle proves that in some way, shape, or form we do have the capabilities of consistent teamwork and consistent communications to go that far and to go the distance, because we almost did. We almost seriously did go the distance. And amidst acknowledging that, this will establish change that is now on the horizon to see us attain that spot next time. I can very strongly see us making that happen again. but there's a lot of work that does need to go into this before we can get there. And so, to start with where we are at right now with TACT. The end of 2017 is here. In my opinion, TACT is not holding on very strong right now, because with over half the clan that is now inactive, if not the majority of the clan that has now been inactive, and with a lot of the players that are still active struggling to pull decent forms of communications and coordination with each other, and it's becoming difficult for them to work well together. It's becoming difficult for you guys to work well together and work with other people that you're just working with recently for the first time, which is another one of the reasons why I stress training together and doing practice when you can or when it is favorable, which I will get into shortly. With the amount of inactive players, as half the clan is now inactive, or half of TACT is now shut down because of IRL taking precedence, and in real life matters are more important than whatever happens in a video game world. That is always most important above all. Keep the focus on what matters most if you can't keep the focus on fun. Because as long as you keep the focus where it does matter most, then eventually free time can present itself. And when that does transpire, then fun and some sense of enjoyment can slowly flood back into your state of being, and it reopens the channel all over again. There's no sense in putting stress on yourself needlessly. Alright? The day before the semifinal match with the Forgotten Legion, T.F.L, I had a brief council with ARG and TACT and Aqua Megadeth 666 regarding how we're going to take in tow the pending difficulty of this clan battle that's supposed to happen in order to tie up a loose end for the time being, with whom there is left to work with many pending people that are canceling, and also those that are not so much canceling but are not being vocal or responsive in our barracks at times when they should be, and why only few people in our barracks are very vocal all the time and wholeheartedly are making use of the gift that was created a long while ago in how TACT has its general managing system intertwined. And so I made the proclamation, which I did affirm on GameFAQs.com later on that same day after the clan battle was finished. I told, and I went on ahead with this with the guys, that I'm going to place TACT into inactivity following this clan battle, because I noticed that IRL is taking hold whether we like this or not, and it is getting harder for a lot of our usual people and players to be on or be available for these things to any of these things to work in a coordinated set without there being a dysfunctional dissension of communications when we're right in the heat of combat, where everybody seems to keep doing their own thing and they're not paying attention to other people that are around them and why everybody is falling, and our lines, our defenses are always continually falling because there's a lack of communication and coordination, and it takes a huge amount of time before after we keep dying before it finally settles in and we start doing decently, when this needs to happen at the get-go. This has to do with the mindset of where everybody's at when they come online, because I know likely they have their minds elsewhere, and that's okay. That's exactly what needs to be, because reality over virtual reality is more important. Doug and Jazz had agreed with me that it's okay for me to go ahead and make this proclamation. And so following the clan battle and the huge struggle in which it was in order for a lot of us that were in that match to succeed, I did go on ahead and confirm that I would make such a move. That post that I made on GameFAQs.com I will share with you shortly in order to show exactly how I went about doing this and what it is that I wrote on this. Because a couple of people had a very unique and shocking response to my affirmation of this move that I made for the clan, and I will get to that as we go along. Going back to the difficulty of the clan battle that I had stated, or potentially foreshadowed in the synopsis video that I made for T.F.L and TACT, the second chapter for the semifinal match. This again was why I had stressed the issue of going ahead with TACT practice without me and scheduling an outline for which you guys can follow. And I don't mean to be angry about this or frustrated in a sense, but it's something that you guys really should have taken the initiative to follow through on in your own times when it was presented. Because it can be fun. It doesn't have to be work, or it doesn't have to feel like work. It never does, and it never should need to. It's just a matter of helping you guys progress as you normally would over time. That way it doesn't become a chore, or it doesn't become work, or it loses interest or fun altogether, as it potentially may have for a number of past players once upon a time. But that's a story for another day. But I had stressed the issue about practicing with lag and training and working yourselves in how to time your shots and to be more effective in lag, because there may be a time in the future where I will or may have to call upon you to play under these types of unbearable, partially unbearable, but still playable conditions. Because there are going to be times where NAT types from different regions all over the world are going to mesh onto one server connectivity. And amidst that server connection, it is going to result in a fairly or moderately laggy-ish clan battle, or a moderately laggy series of events in a group or groups that are involved in said private activity or public activity. That's what I mean to say. The outline was given to you as follows. During this time session from a past meeting and I guess a one-on-one or training practice session that I had with Newman 30 TACT Metroplex, the outline was given for you guys in order to understand how to constructively play and adjust yourselves accordingly on a laggy sense of connectivity, as I was able to successfully defeat Newman more than once on his own host, as his host is of a moderately stable laggy connection, where it is going to be noticeably laggy at various different intervals, if not the totality of the session in question. But amidst this lag, it will also still be a fairly playable session. I mentioned Newman's host because his host, his net speed and lag type is an ideal training grounds to step foot upon and learn how to practice and time your shots more appropriately amidst lag, when all of your shots, or even being shot at, will be a second off. So things will be a second too late or a second too soon, depending upon how you move, or how the lag does correspond with your NAT type or your own general connectivity. This general knowledge and premise is something that you will individually need to work on and play around with it a little bit in order to see how it agrees with you or how it doesn't agree with you, or if you're even able to play at all in these types of conditions. I put this here as an option because it is an option that in some sense I do have to state as a mandatory as we go on, because as we're going to continue interacting with different people and different players across the world, there's also times where you're going to have to become accustomed to fighting on lag, because lag is somewhat going to be a norm that will gradually come here or there. It was not my intention for the clan battle with T.F.L to be so laggy across the board in numerous different aspects between their NAT type hosting and our NAT type hosting, also with relevance to the time of day and how their NAT types may even act, or even how ours may act, because there are some times where I speculate whether or not internet can function better during the day than at night, or vice versa. But these things do happen, and when they happen, we have to try to make the effort to adjust as best as we are able. And I know a lot of you guys at that time were, well, a few of you guys were complaining that it was very difficult to try to work in these situations when the NAT speed for how the lag may have happened on those matches was honestly identical to Newman's lag, which is why I, in a sense, pressed the issue of going ahead and doing the practice sessions more so on his host than anybody else's. While yes, it is difficult to go ahead with, it eventually will not be a problem over time the more you are accustomed to it. Now, why the lot of you guys, or the majority, or whoever it was that was available, did not take this suggestion in order to ease potential difficulty that would come is beyond me, because I did expect better. Even though I know that this was all sudden with who it is that we were all working with, as the last second cancellations from select people caused me to shift the outline even more so with working with people that probably have not played on lag before at all. So this would cause concern, as I would naturally foresee in some sense. But why you guys did not take the opportunity to practice while you had the chance, it does concern me. And there's nothing more I can say. The outcome of the match was already preordained. If we're walking into the match knowing that there is a potential for lag spikes or for a laggy connection that may happen, but it will still be a playable match, knowing this ahead of time, but you did not prepare yourselves, there's nothing more I can say on it. It's just a matter that we were prepared, and then at the last second we were not prepared, and there was nothing more we could do but see a defeat that could have been changed, but it was not seen. I did everything in my power in order to see the direction of this clan battle through in our favor and try to pull a lot of strings to make sure that the timing can be correct in order to work with who it was that we had that had our backs, that could potentially do well in that clan battle, do really well, or not so much carry the team, but can pull their own weight in structure and communications and coordination. But also this fell through as the laggy connection would also cause mic glitches to happen, and so talking with select people or peoples would become vastly harder because they can't hear you while lag is present. It cuts the whole thing off, thus causing the mic glitch to happen, and so it causes a further communication failing that can't be avoided in some sense, because it would cause a redo of the whole match. The problem with this is that they also had the connection issues on their end as well, and so the only thing that could potentially change this outcome, or could have changed it, would have been a host change. And even then, with their type of hosts and who it is they had available at that time, it would have varied, because a lot of their own hosts couldn't agree at that time and only to allot for a sitting of maybe 20 minutes to maybe a half an hour per session before something may have happened. I know a couple of T.F.L's players had connection relevant issues earlier that day, and the day before the clan battle even was set to go off. Next, I'm going to take time here in order to go over the post in the standard decree I made for GameFAQs.com, as I'm going to be, well, there's going to be less of me being seen for a while, and I have matters elsewhere that I need to attend to, all of which is stated in the message that I'm going to show you here. First of all, for you, TACT, personally, I want you honestly to continue the practice sessions, and I honestly mean it. Do continue with the practice sessions as best as you are able to. Go to public game modes, invite everybody that you know that is intact, a listing of everybody that is still intact, that is still potentially available, is listed below. Invite them. Go to Headhunter, Capture the Flag, Conquest, everything but Team Deathmatch, because Team Deathmatch is a structural norm that I do not want all of you to fall into as a lazy ritual, to just click on it over and over again like you can't honestly do anything else, because I know that you can. And that's the options that I want to give you guys. Don't click on Team Deathmatch. I know that it's an area that we are vastly lacking now, because I want to go ahead and recruit and promote smart playing over powerful playing, and that's okay. And while Team Deathmatch is no longer a strong point, thus I want to eliminate it from the training ritual. I want you guys to focus on Conquest and Capture the Flag, because that is not about getting kills. It's about completing the objective within the allotted time, as fast and as effective as possible, with who you are going into the field with, and with the map and environment options that are allotted, both while you're able to pick them in public and while they are systematically given and selected by the host in private. Said overseer of the training sessions for terrain adaptive combat terrestrials, I will place this charge to Newman 30 for the time being, and give it a run and see what ideals that he may have or may wish to share that can honestly give a sense of unique creativity to your guys' combative evolution. The outline for each session will still be as I have written out, and as I have always written it out in past implementations. It's just that it won't be me there in order to actually follow through and carry out what it is that is on the said proposal. This will instead be given to Newman for the time being. Now, to turn your attention to my post here that I made on GameFAQs.com following the conclusion, or the evening of that date in which was the conclusion of the semifinal clan battle match against the Forgotten Legion. Okay, I had just recently closed the topic here at 4:59 a.m. and it states, not a roster update, but rather an update to the status of being. It's been an update I needed to reevaluate for some time now, as the availability of clan TACT has constantly varied day after day, into weeks basically. The past 3 clan battles, all now completed, and several scheduled TACT practices have been moved many times due to varying uncertainty and shifting schedules of the players involved. The last CB match passed, honestly, was barely completed, with another last-second cancellation from a couple players I needed there that could have made the difference vastly. It almost put me in a position where I'd have to resort to a backup plan I prepared for years in advance that I thought I'd never need to use in managing a big clan. But things change. Following our closing clan battle of the 2017 semi-final standings for the very first time ever, I feel it's a good time to settle in and have a complete reprieve. My team has earned it in getting this far despite many a dramatic series of events through the year, and so I'm going to issue my decree that is to take effect at the end of this week, upon Saturday, December 16th, 2017. As commander of TACT's combat forces, I'm officially placing terrain adaptive combat terrestrials into a temporary state of inactivity until further notice. I take this course of action as this is for all of us to sit back, unwind, and just relax doing other things for a while to ease back into our grooves and have fun again. Life, responsibility, and games can't mix. A price has to be paid somewhere along the line. I need a break personally because I haven't honestly been able to get too much rest or peace of mind the past couple of months between juggling important tasks and family IRL, as well as keeping to date with most relations and affairs with the clan that I leave to others for a very strong reason, yet I return to messes I have to clean up. I can't keep doing it all, honestly. Amidst varied added times of events and things in real life bleeding into my general dealings, various times to where I have to mentally and physically multitask half the time I'm online without a break. Frustration, worry, and continual inattention, it's cost me a lot that I need to reestablish and sort out over time. Even still, I made my own efforts to juggle this to ensure that TACT can still be able to competitively function and communicate with few mounting setbacks, if any. During this group reprieve, I'm also going to seek to appoint myself a full-time second-in-command of TACT that can learn to lead, instruct, and support, as Arg, Doug, Skull, and myself would. I say full-time because I can no longer juggle all the affairs with the responsibilities I've kept elsewhere. This position of Vice Commander was given to individuals on 3 past occasions. However, all 3 past occasions, those trials were met with vast difficulty, and the individuals stepped down from the position as they felt they weren't ready to lead, or TACT itself felt I made a huge mistake in appointing said person with said power during my absence. I aim to see that TACT is taken care of in the right sense while I'm away to handle myself. Till next time, community. Peace. RedPrimus. So, allow me to explain further into detail why I made this choice for TACT. In TACT, I did this because I love and value all of the work that we've put in to making and establishing this clan to what it is today. And I don't want to see all that hard work go to waste. I made that decree from not only my consultation with TACT Argonarg, and Aquamegadeth 666, in view of the present status of TACT and it slowly starting to go downhill in terms of having a combative motivation to continue and persevere, as well as a sense of continued established teamwork and communications aside from instruction and given guidance. With a lot of factors in real life taking hold and, in a sense, it's one of the reasons as to why the majority, if not easily more than half of TACT, has suddenly just shut down right now. The past 2 or 3 clan battles, ever since the opportunity was given to battle the Allies Alliance of Chaos AOC clan, it has been a constant downhill slope of trying to make these arrangements and get these arrangements all out of the fence, and to see to it that all the arrangements are done for all these matches that most of you guys do still wish to see to, that are able to actually wholeheartedly take part in them. And in totality, also just ensure that you guys are happy with all the events that are happening, and that you guys are content. Just make sure that everybody in TACT is happy. Because it does get very trying to see to 40, 50, something different people in order to make sure that they are all okay and that they all have everything that they wish or wish to have done. But a failing point in this is that not a lot of you guys are very vocal in the chat, even though You guys all have the power to become very vocal, but instead you guys act like sheep half the time, barring 4, 5, or 6 of you out of the total of the 50. And I need you guys to speak up and be more vocal, because I can't do this by myself. It's a really big stress and frustration and worry in trying to assume ahead of time what it is that may happen, or assume what's going to happen right now. And I don't like to assume, because nothing happens from assumptions. Nothing positive happens from assumptions. And this worry floods into the next reason as to why I had also issued this decree in placing TACT in inactivity, is because this becomes very huge stress. And while I do confer and console this with Aqua Megadeth and ARG respectively on PlayStation 4, at the end of the day, the majority of this does feel like it does fall back on me to see these things through with a lot of the general dealings that go through with TACT. They do seek to have their input, but it feels like a lot of snowflaking, or people that aren't thick-skinned seem to prance about relations with TACT. Not saying that it's the totality, but it seems to be, as of recently in this year, or I'm not entirely sure how else to look at it, because they have the opportunities in order to be vocal about things, but when they become vocal, it leads to people shutting down because they don't care. And ARG and Megadeth, yeah, in a sense, don't care. But it's not that they don't care about you, it's just that they don't care about a lot of the people that is seem to be dealing with or associated with TACT, as they only seem to have relations out of some type of beneficial gain or impartial, ignorant, ulterior motive. And so what they've decided to do is just shut themselves off by just not caring completely. And so while they're there and here as authority figures, the dealings do get done through an indifferent type of process, I feel. And in a sense, in order to complete these things from potentially being procrastinated, the completion of these tasks seems to fall back into my hands. Some may see it as a burden, others may see it as a responsibility. I just see it as a duty that does need to be done, instead of being taken out of context, or how should I say, held off for a time later favorable to everybody but you. And this has stacked with time, inconvenience, opportunity, inattention, frustration, lust. It's so many different types of emotions that come into this over the past few months now. Several months, damn near, might as well say. In trying to sort out a lot of these affairs that are seemingly one-sided due to a lot of factors IRL and here on this grid, and on many different grids now, as the TACT expansion project is nearly complete. And with so many things in real life bleeding into my general dealings, anytime I'm online, or when I just want time to myself, these things generally have to be seen to. My input is always very necessary for things to be completed. They do still go through Megadeth and ARG, but at the same time, my input is also still needed, so I can't completely walk away from the limelight, but at the same time, I can't fully be there anymore. And it really pains me to have to say this, but I can't be here anymore. Many of the dealings that I have to deal with have just caused a continual mental and physical strain of sorts. And multitasking seems to be a rather unusual norm. And while I am vastly uncomfortable with multitasking, it is something that does need to be seen to and taken in tow, as I will have to do. And the final addressing in the statement is, amidst the inactivity currently for TACT, I will also be working to seek to appoint a full-time second-in-command in full of terrain adaptive combat terrestrials, a vice commander of sorts, if you will, that will be able to see to my affairs while I am away. And I'll briefly elaborate on why I will be away, or I won't be seen as much. I didn't explain this to the other leaders or so on GameFAQs.com, and it's not of their original concern. And so I just left it as a peaceful front, if you will, or a facade, to mask the real reason as to why I'm going. And the reason why I'm leaving is because I just need a break from it all. Because it's reached a point now where playing almost feels like work. And not a lot of it becomes fun anymore. And I do enjoy and have a passion for playing anything because it's fun and not because it's work. But the thing here is that it's not becoming work by choice, but it's becoming more so work by force in order for me to accomplish what it is I need to set out to do with my group or with said group's objectives. And while I can have peace of mind for brief instances at a time, whenever I seem to leave, I come back to some type of surprising ignorance or nonsense or fuckery of varying proportions. And so between that and then the dealings with many different past clans through this year that have been very nice, and the others that have also been excessively toxic and pestilent to where I wish I'd never met them in any way, shape, and form. I just need to take a step back because I realize that my mind is taking the game seriously, and I never wanted that to happen at any point in my online career. In this is for me to take this game too seriously, and that's the point where I'm reaching at right now, and I need to stop myself before I reach a point I can't come back from. And with having pulled so many strings and favors, and a point where I almost feel like I have to fucking beg in order for the simplest of shit to be complete in our favor. Nonetheless, all of the group's dealings are done with, and my hands can be washed of a lot of past choices. And I'm just very tired and frustrated, needlessly, and for good reason, or for piss poor reasons. And I just don't want to deal with it right now, and I don't want to deal with myself. And so I'm reaching a point where I just feel it is necessary to distance myself from everybody that I know and be off to the side and to myself, so that way I can fully detox and recollect myself and what's left of what sanity I may have left, so that way I can just peacefully recover myself and be who I was once upon a time when I first came into this. And in finality of this, as I previously stated, the second in command that I will appoint is going to be the person that will temporarily be taking my place while I am away. I will still be around, even if it may not look like I am around. I always have eyes and ears throughout the totality of this community. In many different aspects, a lot of people always know how to get in contact with me, so even though I may not be around, I assure you, I will be in the know, if nothing else. There have been past instances where I have appointed a second in command, or a temporary second in command. Thus, this is why this has to be a full-time decision and a choice that can be in our best favor for survival. TACT, you did ask about why there have been past choices, and so I will go down the list here of the three past instances where this has happened while we were here. I told you eventually that I would tell you the story one day, and I did keep it to myself because I didn't want to mess with relations with all of the past clans and cause needless drama, even if some of them created it their own fucking selves. But I will tell you the stories, one of which we have recently lived, the other two came from another time. So I will tell you the story out of love and respect for you all. And if this messes with the dealings or the friendships that I have with other people, well, I'm sorry, but the truth is the truth, whether or not we all want to accept it or not. Because there was a reason why I had kept this swept under the rug for so long. And I only wanted it to just be my problem and mine alone, because I wanted to make sure that I kept my friends out of it, and that they weren't dragged into the drama unnecessarily, and it would affect them trying to enjoy themselves as they naturally should. So, here we go. As you wish to hear, your wish is granted, my friends. Okay, let's start with the first instance where this had happened. Back in March, April of this year. All of these instances actually had happened this year, so it saves a vast amount of time. This was March, April of 2017, where we were about to go up against GEF for the very first time, where we had our historic encounter with GEF between PS3, a notable PS3 clan, and a notable PS4 clan. After my adventures on Destiny 1, and being spammed about the clan battle for all intents and purposes needlessly, I left the dealings of that clan battle to two individuals at that point, for TACT and to ACW RedPrimus. I was already a leader of TACT, so I don't have to pass the power. I gave temporary second in command to Apex at that point. As IRL concern had happened that needed my attention vastly, and without question, I walked away from TACT, I walked away from YouTube gaming, I walked away from everything. This was about the time span of a month and a half, 2 months, when I finally came back, and the general affair to be sought to of said clan battle after all this time had not been C2, due to varying reasons known and unknown that were swept under the rug until I did personally discover the reason, whether or not said individuals involved made it a point to actually tell me in earnest. I found out through my own means. And this was done through very steady procrastination and a lack of vigor in honestly wanting to do the clan battle on our end from said person or persons, and from the other side, a continual annoyance of sorts in being spam messages about a clan battle time or times that would seem to significantly piss off the lot of the clan, as well as the clan leader, to where he honestly sought to call off the clan battle and just leave everybody in a state of ambiguity and uncertainty as to what is supposed to actually happen. And so amidst me trying to just be off to the side doing my own thing, I still get spam messages about the clan battle that's technically not my business anymore, and I don't care about that clan battle, and I never did. But because I'm being spammed all these messages about it, and why it is that I choose to not involve myself in tax present dealings, this was still not heard. And so we briefly took to TACT council that night between me and the other leaders of TACT in order to see to this specific arrangement that was not seen to for the past 2 to 3 months. And I told him, or asked him, why have you not seen to the clan battle yet? It's been way over the time, more so than it needed to, in order to try and knock this thing out of the way. That way it wouldn't become a hassle later on, because the longer it's postponed, the harder it is to set it up. And the reason, while obscured, was just because of a lack of trust and dislike from said clan leader, GEF, and just natural scorn and dissatisfaction from involvement, and just a potential lack of passion in honestly wanting to do clan battles, but still in some sense wanting to be a part of what goes on with that stuff because it's a sense of responsibility, which I can understand some of that to a degree. The other parts of that, though, I don't understand as why a procrastination would be seen or implied or even ensued to keep dragging the feet about this when we have more than enough people necessary in order to see to this. All the power was given for both of the people involved that I put in charge and wanted to be in charge of this in my place, between our members' strengths, weaknesses, preferences, who they work well with on the team, the times they're available, day or night, and the maps that they work well on. I gave you the whole tools to my thinking and everything I think about when I walk into a clan battle with my team, and all the layouts that I make days or sometimes even hours in advance before a clan battle happens that could just happen to vastly work, or can surprise even myself a lot of the time. And the fact that this was not all seen to with so much working in your favor to get it done, barring procrastination, was a vast disappointment. And so amidst the continual being spammed about this clan battle over time, I decided to go on ahead and just oversee it anyway. And so I told him that, look, I'll take over from here then. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Leave it to me. I'll see to it that the job gets done. And he said, sure. because he was uncomfortable with constantly being spammed about a day and a time that was constantly unfavorable to him, and being messaged to a point where it pissed off a lot of TACT. And so he just, in a sense, kind of washed his hands of it. And so I just decided to take intel of what it is I needed to do. Apex had stepped down from the temporary position that I had given him. And so I proceeded to make my next move, and that was to oversee the GEF versus TACT clan battle. I made a lot of calls in order to get in contact with Moonwalker and Cassandra Saxzaxx. All I had to do was just mention Marvin's name, and she said yes without a second thought, because she hated him that much. Next, I made the effort to contact Grimwave the King, Newman, and Officer in order to tell them to practice and to be ready. And by all means, be ready. Because I know nothing about a lot of what we're about to get into in doing this. So just practice as best as you can and believe in each other's strengths. And be vocal. Communicate with each other. Coordinate. We're going to need all the tools we can and all the tricks in the book that we know of within good reason and good taste in order to try to come out ahead on this. And that battle was seen to. And the duality in having completed that match, although that match made good history for the modern day playing of clan battles on this video game and in this franchise, it's difficult for me to appreciate the likely nature of that clan battle with all the events and understanding and knowing all the events that came in tow of this match's existence. And so while something very good and something that everybody appreciated came out of a whole series of needlessly toxic events and appalling senses of judgment, is surprising, and at the same time, in knowing said people involved at all of this, it is not surprising. And so then you know the truth about many of the events on our end that led up to such a momentously beautiful clan battle of such. And I'm just not happy about the fact of having to come all the way back when I'm honestly not in the mood, and I never was in the mood to play the game. I gotta play the game, get myself back to where I needed to be, and have the mindset that I will not fail. I won't fail myself, and I won't fail my friends to accomplish something that could have potentially been more toxic than it appeared, and strain myself to a very big extent, in some sense, in order to deliver upon something that was promised and not given long ago when it needed to. Something that just doesn't settle with me. I can be proud of the fact that a very good match happened, but I can't be proud of the fact of all of the events that happened that are directly correlated to said match. So it's a very dubious acceptance. Moving on is instance 2, which was the third encounter that TACT had with KOA. And this is also the main reason why I didn't seek to show the third clan battle that we had with them. While we did have it, it was obscured behind the scenes. And I did vastly cover up the reason as to why that was not publicly shown in order to save face of both clans and the drama that had happened with said person or persons involved. And so the whole community does not know of this, and for good reason as to why they don't. Amidst said drama, rules being broken, and lying about it as to whether or not it actually was broken or not, people being attacked AFK, and it being one-sided in a perspective that is very childish. I lost a couple of very good friends in that battle, because we lost eye to eye on a lot of things. I lost his respect. He lost my respect. And it cost me one of TACT's best players, because of a perspective where he was lied to just to join their team and join their cause, all based on a lie that he was told and believed, knowing him and knowing me, that we've been in this for so long, that I would lie to him. It is a mummer's farce. I have never once needed to tell a lie in order to get ahead in this game, in this line of work. In anything I do, I've never needed to lie in order to do or accomplish anything significant. And I lost my temper. I turned onto my mic to where I had cussed him out. I lost a friend there. The clan leader with said KOA, I had a mutual pulling away from each other. And KOA's star player, whoever the hell he wants to call himself, the one they call Ryan Destroys, I finished blocking him on all my accounts, because I was honestly just fed up with dealing with the piece of shit that fancies himself being so good and taking the game excessively competitively. And there was so many factors that was honestly needlessly frustrating about that clan battle. Everything was so needlessly frustrating about it. The incompetence, the lack of awareness, and the fact that something was so bluntly seen that you could still try to lie about it is a joke in itself. And so many heated words were exchanged in that match that it was needless to honestly try to continue. And while TACT won that match, there was honestly no true winner. Because while I saw my team win, I lost two good people along the way. And for what? For what did I honestly gain out of it, other than another person on my block lists? TACT gained absolutely nothing from winning that match. And in making an effort to honestly publicly show it like I would so many past CBs, it would tarnish the reputation built up by both groups, despite how dubious said other group may encompass its natural reputation, or how it's been encompassing its natural reputation. That's an observation for another day. The point being, before I was set to even coordinate and manage and oversee that entire clan battle, I did appoint a secondary person at that time also. This was also Apex Primus that I had appointed second in command temporarily in order to oversee this. But as he was almost, in a sense, coaxed or talked into doing something that he didn't understand, and I could already see way ahead of time exactly what the hell that they were trying to do, and I had to cut that shit short right there, because I'm not going to deal with the bullshit and trying to have a friendly game that's going to be founded upon dumb shit. I got to cut that shit short right there. And that's where I just told them, hey, step aside. They want this match. They got it. If they think so highly of themselves that they got it in the bag, they want to try and take at it like some fucking hyenas. Oh, let's give them something to really laugh about. And so I took the battle from there. Looking back at it now, I'm not entirely proud of that feat of trollery and jackassery from myself, and from myself. Saxzaxx told me that it was while it was a very shitty clan battle, it was among one of the more fun clan battles she'd ever had. Because so much had happened, and I was supposedly getting into the spirit of stopping dumb shit with the XD. I'm just like, girl, come on now. Trying to do a clan battle and we can't even finish that shit. I mean, it brought me some good joy at the end of the day, but still, I mean, if you think about where we began and how that shit ended, it stopped a potential headache. But after the rest of that day, I just went on ahead over to Kingdom Hearts, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm done. I'm done for the day. We're walking away. Take the victory and the loss as you shall. But deep down, I still got to deal with losing campers. And the third point is what happened recently with supposed TACT and CDF, the Cybertronian Defense Force rematch, which then erroneously and unceremoniously turned into the TACT versus GEF rematch, which I will explain how this was not supposed to happen and what the hell happened in this unusual and unforeseen but expected series of events. And so this happened upon one Saturday evening, or Saturday afternoon rather, I mean to say, Saturday afternoon. There was something that I needed to do IRL that could not be postponed, as it's necessary for me to have to do what it is I needed to do between grocery store, and I needed to also head upstate to see to something earlier that day, so I'd have to leave out in the morning to get a head start. The affairs for TACT and CDF's rematch was already set in tow. Everybody was already prepared for the time and the setting in which this could wholeheartedly transpire. But I could not take part in this and oversee it, and so this was a third instance where I had to, unfortunately but forcefully, step aside in order to put in real life matters directly first, as they should. And so I had temporarily appointed both Grimwave the King and King of the Scrap both as a temporary second overseer, or second in command of sorts, for this proceeding of events, as they demonstrated a very good amount of responsibility. And Grimwave had been my assistant, if not easily could have been seen as a second in some sense, for the whole time in which he was in TACT's tenure. I had left them both to oversee that clan battle in my absence. And what I left and what I came back to were two completely different stories. As the huge responsibility here in just facing CDF was not only botched, but this was left with a completely messy and needlessly shoddy clan battle that was not sanctioned in the first place, with hordes of messages following from so many different people involved, and those who aren't even involved whatsoever that apparently know about this bullshit or knew about it when this had happened or after the fact of which it had happened. And the fact that nobody took it upon themselves to contact me at any point in time to let me know that either, hey, CDF was a total no-show for the clan battle we agreed on, or, hey, GEF is asking for a CB. What are they talking about? And I was not nice to GEF about any of that, because it's a point, or it was at that point where it insisted dumb shit, and I was not appreciative of it. because rather than waiting for me to return if GEF wanted to seek a match that badly, you went on ahead and went behind my back and took complete advantage of my friends' naivety and uncertainty in order to screw them over for a simple grab in points, knowing you can easily beat them because I'm not there. Or supposedly because I'm not there, because I actually know what it is you guys are really planning and wanting that match. But anyway, after the whole proceedings of that entire messy evening, Grimwave had stepped down from position as the second in command at that point. King of the Scrap had walked away long before before the clan battle even started, as he was supposed to be the initial consultant with Grimwave. But because of some type of unforeseen argument that had happened leading into the whole unsanctioned GEF versus TACT rematch, he had walked away and messaged me that he did threaten to want to just leave TACT altogether if a move like that was made again, as it was completely illogically placed once everything was actually implemented. And this almost caused an internal structural collapse because of an unforeseen lapse of a person or persons making those types of irresponsibly placed moves or decisions or actions. This entire elucidation of sorts was also explained to the chair committee for the FOC leaderboards on GameFAQs.com, which was of Mad Dog and Aswin, respectively. And as this was explained, the whole decision of why that clan battle happened, that was fought so needlessly hard by GEF in order to have it be valid, even though nobody wanted it but them. The decision came in tow where it was completely reversed and null and void, and so the whole factor of GEF finally defeating TACT once and for all was null and void, which led to the GEF leader at that point having the biggest temper tantrum of all time, which I honestly believe led to the internal structural collapse and the start of the spiral that led to the inevitable disbanding of GEF. I honestly believe that that was a key factor that had just recently had happened at that time that led to the start of GEF's downfall. I honestly believe that. But that's a structured argument for another day, as it doesn't directly, no longer does it correlate anymore to TACT. But in any case, TACT, these three instances are what do wane in the back of my head with this upcoming decision that I do need to make in appointing a full-time vice commander for us. As those last four choices, since the last one was a role that was to be shared, so it was 2 vice commanders technically at that time that was given, that they'd step down both. So it was 3 instances with 4 select people, 3 people, 4 people, however you want to look at it, that it did not work out that well in putting them in a position and taking my place. And as this was recently addressed in TACT chat, for those that were vocal and those that did speak up on my addressing of I thought that I wanted to wish best wishes of concluding this year, and I thought that the T.F.L versus TACT thing was very well done for who it was that was there and who was able to show up. There were some people that were honestly not satisfied with the end result in total because they felt that it could have been changed on account of a better sense of dedication and follow-through with people that did wholeheartedly want to do the match, regardless of how potentially difficult it may be. And they were vocal because they feel that TACT needs to do better, because there were opportunities for a couple people that could have honestly been there, but they weren't paying attention, or they weren't attentive, or just suddenly didn't want to appear at all for it, that probably could have made a big difference in trying to represent TACT as they needed to in a very big situation. and felt that I should have forced some people to be there, even though that goes against my standings in forcing people to do things that they don't want to do. There was a person or persons that did say that while he could be there, he didn't really want to unless it was absolutely necessary. So I say, hey, I mean, if you're good at what you're doing, if you're really good at taking shots like everybody says that you are, then you can help me on it. But if you don't want to help me, you don't want to help me. I can't force you, nor should I have to force you or beg you. That's not how this works. And so on account of so many past lackings and potential collapses that could have easily led to TACT's collapse and fall, that surprisingly have not for as long as we've been around right now. It's been a good 2 years, almost looking at 3 years now. They're worried about this decision that I have to make in appointing a second in command, because it is appointing another time where I do need to step aside. It's not so much that I have to step down, because I see what happens when I have to step down. But I have to step aside. And a lot of them fear what's going to happen, because those that were very vocal, Moonwalker, AK, Flint, Shock 19, and a couple others, they know what's going to happen, and they know that I know what's going to happen, even though I tried to downplay that, but I can't get that past them. They know what's going to happen if it reaches a point where I have to step down rather than step aside. And it's a possibility of a lot of TACT being lost, or potentially being lost to where nobody knows what to do, or it could be the end of TACT. I don't know. But I do know that I won't let it get that far. I will do my best effort to make sure that we never reach that point any sooner than we may potentially need to. But I just don't want you guys to worry. I mean, me finding a replacement for myself, I didn't really picture it would be this hard to do. And I can understand that after 3 screw-ups, well, 3 potential screw-ups anyway, that this kinda leaves a huge question of whether or not anybody else can do my job other than me. And I know you guys worry about that, and I can't stop you guys from worrying. But I want you guys to know that I am working on it to try and see if I can just make another protege, or see if I can just pick up somebody. I'm trying to think very hard about this and very judiciously as to who it is next that I try to give this position to, and I need it to try to stick. And I know you're worried about this, and I'm worried about it too. I'm trying to downplay it again, but I can't get it by you, so I can't even deny it on my end. I am very worried about this as well, because I made those past 3 decisions with people that I did wholeheartedly trust to do the job, and I thought that could handle the responsibility, but they could not. They could not respectively do it, and so it came back to me. But I'm not going to stop trying. I haven't given up. I will settle upon the correct decision, and hopefully that this is going to be the correct decision. There are some instances, and I'm sure there have been other clans long before us that have made a decision of this magnitude that probably didn't go right 1 or 2 or 3 times. Kinda back to back to back. And I do get worried, but I'm trying to keep a cool head about it. It's one of those things where you need a drink and a quick decision, although quick decision's kind of already been done. And so I just gotta sit here and just take a drink and think. But very soon you guys will know my decision, and I do hope that this will be the right decision. So I know you guys want to advise me to make the wisest decision on this one, and I'm sure other people will also do the same thing. So just cross our fingers and let's hope that our vice commander can wholeheartedly uphold the value and love and dedication of the name Terrain Adaptive Combat Terrestrials as much as Doug, Arg, Skull Spectre, and myself would. And that I can honestly see as another me that doesn't have to bear the whole weight of the clan on his shoulders, or it may seem that way, but rather can share and put a whole new perspective of fresh ideas out there that can revitalize a unique sense of growth. I'll keep you guys posted. And as we head into 2018, this will be Rodimus Prime signing off. My piece is complete, my friends. And with love, you all indeed have a good one ahead.